traits of random chance? Or does evidence implicate a genetic influence? The traits discussed in this presentation are astigmatism, identical twins, kidney disease, and webbed toes. Astigmatism, presented by Anola Albritton and Danae Stafford. Astigmatism is an eye condition that refers to abnormalities and irregularities in the curvature of the cornea. These abnormalities alter the surface of the cornea in islands, and they interfere with light entering the eye. The irregularity interferes with the light's accuracy in focusing on a single point within the eye. And this inaccuracy of reflection causes distorted or blurred vision. Other symptoms can occur due to astigmatism, such as headaches and eye strain. The eye's inability to focus can happen at any distance, so people with astigmatism may struggle with blurred vision up close or far away. Astigmatism can occur in both children and adults, although early detection can be difficult in children because they don't often understand their symptoms or complain of them. Also, research supports the theory that this condition is a highly heritable trait. As mentioned, astigmatism is caused by irregularities in the shape or surface of the cornea. However, there are factors that contribute to the development of astigmatism. Because astigmatism is hereditary, it is often present from birth, but many people can develop the disorder later in life. Astigmatism can also lessen or worsen as time passes as well. Some common causes of astigmatism include eye surgery, injuries to the eye, and related or underlying medical conditions. One example is keratinosis, which causes the cornea to grow thinner and cone-shaped. Researchers have found few environmental factors that cause astigmatism. However, studies have shown some factors that influence inheritance, such as race, ethnicity, and prenatal smoking. African American and Hispanic children saw greater numbers of astigmatism than white, non-Hispanic children. And in a study done by the Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science Journal, children exposed to prenatal smoking were 1.5 times more likely to develop astigmatism than children who weren't. Here is an example of what astigmatism looks like from a medical perspective. On the left is a diagram of a healthy eye with no signs of astigmatism or abnormalities. On the right is an eye with astigmatism. As you can see, the right eye has an oblong cornea that is not shaped the same as the left eye. And we also see that there is an irregularly shaped lens. Both of these factors contribute to astigmatism and its related symptoms. Thanks to our research and observations of our personal family pedigrees, Danae and I were able to come up with a hypothesis about astigmatism. I believe that, because of astigmatism's common nature and heritability, astigmatism is a dominant trait easily influenced by external factors. Likewise, Danae hypothesized that astigmatism followed a dominant and recessive pattern, and having astigmatism was actually a dominant trait. In my personal family pedigree, there are several instances of astigmatism, which we can see here in the green-colored icons. Both my maternal and paternal line have astigmatism. Out of all 3 children, only my sister has been diagnosed with the trait, but we have suspected that both my brother and I have it too because of our symptoms. We just have not been diagnosed. In Danae's family pedigree, it was clear that astigmatism was highly heritable. Her likelihood of developing astigmatism was high, considering the trait is seen in both her maternal and paternal lines, like mine. Given the heritability and its prevalence in both family trees, it seems that our hypotheses were correct. Inquiries about genetics are highly important, but strong research is needed before making inferences. Because of the role genetics play in our daily lives, scientists must make sure their information is credible, up-to-date, and applicable. For astigmatism, there have been numerous meta-analysis research studies focused on identifying possible genetic factors in inheritance. Using the scientific method, researchers have begun researching astigmatism through observation, forming hypotheses, genetic testing, data collection, and data review. Research has found that a person's likelihood of developing astigmatism doubles if any of their first-degree relatives exhibit the trait. However, astigmatism is also a trait of chance. While heritability does play a large role in developing astigmatism, we have seen that external factors like injuries and surgeries can also cause the condition. While there are currently no known genes that determine astigmatism risk, the COMMED program, a common data program for analyzing astigmatism genetics, does suggest a genetic factor in family's inheritance. Researchers have also found certain genes associated with the onset of astigmatism in different populations. Other studies have shown genome-wide associations for astigmatism, both corneal and refractive. Each study found repeating genomes contributing to the disorder, but no specific genes have been thoroughly proven to cause astigmatism. However, studies continue to identify what genes have been suspected. Identical Twins by Kylie Gilmet.
Identical twins are two people born from the same parents, and they have the same sperm and egg combination. The two children are born at the same time and look identical to each other, hence the name identical twins. Since the two offspring are made from the same haploid cells, they have the exact same genetic makeup and ultimately the same physical characteristics. However, while their appearance might be the same, their mind and their thoughts can be original and different from each other. Identical twins, also referred to as monozygotic twins, result from the fertilization of a single egg with a single sperm. As this cell divides and multiplies to grow, there is one point in embryonic growth where they split into two individual cells. Since the cells were split after being fertilized, the two organisms have the exact same genetic makeup. This is different than fraternal twins that occur from the release of two separate eggs from the woman's ovaries. The first step in the formation of identical twins involves the sperm from the male parent reaching the egg of the female parent. The sperm fertilizes the egg, and these two haploid cells become one singular zygote cell. Genetic or environmental factors could possibly lead to the zygote splitting in half. This split creates monozygotic twins. Since the twins come from the same zygote, they share both the amniotic sac and the placenta of the mother, as if they were one. Identical twins are very common on both the paternal and maternal side of my family. After doing some research, it appears as if there is no reasoning as to why a zygote splits to form identical twins. Some researchers hypothesize that either genetics or the environment can ultimately lead to monozygotic twins, but nothing has been set in stone and proven. Since families with identical twins are likely to have more than one set, I do believe that there is a genetic link. The pedigree I included shows two sets of identical twins from my family. My dad and my uncle are identical twins, and my mom's dad, or my grandpa, is an identical twin. We have more sets of identical twins that run in our family, but I was unable to portray them in this pedigree. None of my siblings or I are identical twins. However, it is theorized that twins can skip a generation, so maybe one of us will happen to have twins in the future. As I explained earlier, families that have a set of monozygotic twins generally have more sets in their family line. It has not ultimately been proven that genetics play a significant role in the formation of identical twins, but it has been in question for a while. Until scientists can determine the cause of the zygote splitting in two, it will be hard to identify the genetic link that appears to run in certain families. For now, it is said that identical twins are random, but it could possibly be attributed to the environment.
Kidney Disease by Nicholas Charbonneau.
A UPJ obstruction is not necessarily a kidney disease. However, it is a kidney complication where if it's extreme enough and it's left untreated, it can lead to complete failure of the kidney. And what the UPJ obstruction is a blockage in the renal pelvis of the kidney. The renal pelvis is a funnel that collects urine, which then drains from the kidney to the bladder via the ureter. And the ureter is just that tube that does the transportation of that urine. So the UPJ obstruction is what stops or slows the flow of urine out of the kidney and into the bladder. That can cause urinary tract infections, kidney stones, and even sometimes stent growth in an infant. So UPJ obstructions occur in nearly 1 in every 1,500 births, and males are affected more than twice as much as females. In most cases, only one kidney is affected, and that kidney is typically the left kidney, which is true for myself. My hypothesis is that kidney complications are passed down to me from my maternal grandfather. taking a look at my family pedigree, my maternal grandfather had high blood pressure or hypertension and an unknown kidney disease, and I'm the only other person in the immediate family to have any sort of kidney complications. My father was adopted, so we don't have any medical knowledge on his side of the family that may have some other underlying factors that could play into my future, medically speaking. And so, going back to my maternal grandfather, hypertension and kidney disease usually go hand in hand and can be passed down through genetics, making me predisposed for similar complications such as high blood pressure, heart disease, or some sort of kidney disease. UPJ obstructions are fairly uncommon to be a hereditary problem. They're typically isolated just to one family member. However, if obstructions run in the family, then it can be more common for someone to be born with a UPJ obstruction. That being said, other kidney diseases and other kidney failures are much more common to be passed down genetically. So things like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, prostate problems, anything along those lines, especially to do with the cardiovascular system, tie hand in hand with kidney disease and kidney failure. So if there's anything like that running in a family, it's much, much, much more common for that to impose some kind of factor on future kidney disease than a UPJ obstruction or UPJ obstruction, for example. So UPJ obstructions are a little bit more random in who gets them, more so than other complications or diseases, since the only way to be predisposed to getting a UPJ is if obstructions run in your family, and even then, it's not a guaranteed thing. It's a fairly random event. So other kidney diseases, however, are more easily predisposed by someone's health complications or their family genetics. So, for example, someone who has high blood pressure that runs in their family is more predisposed to having a kidney disease or failure than someone who doesn't. That being said, the individual's health choices can also predispose them to kidney disease or kidney failure. So if they have high blood pressure or they have heart disease or diabetes, then that can cause kidney disease or failure down the road. So not only can genetics play a factor, but their life choices and how they treat their body can also play a factor for getting kidney failure or disease in the future.
Webbed Toes by Brianna Snow. Webbed toes is the common name for syndactyly, which affects the feet. It is characterized by the fusion of two or more digits of the feet. The condition occurs in roughly 1 in every 2,500 to 3,000 newborns. It is most often seen in males than females. The most common occurrence is the second and third toes being webbed or joined by the skin and flexible tissue. Often webbing of the toes occurs at random. It is less commonly an inherited trait. And research has shown that most often the trait is found in Caucasians. Webbing of the toes can also be related to genetic effects, such as Crouzon syndrome or Apert syndrome. Most cases of webbed toes occur when the skin fails to separate during fetal development. The phenotypic ratios of webbed toes and non-webbed toes in my family closely resemble the expected phenotypic ratios of a dominant recessive pattern of inheritance. Therefore, I predicted that the different toe styles follow a dominant recessive pattern of inheritance, and the non-webbed toe allele is dominant to the webbed toe allele. Digits that are fused or joined may look webbed, and they may not move well. If the toes are severely webbed or fused, the condition can be disabling. Although side effects do not seem to be severe, webbed toes can also lead to self-esteem issues. Unless webbing is minimal, a doctor will probably recommend surgery to correct the condition. Surgery can take up to 2 to 5 hours depending on the condition and its severity. However, webbed toes may not require treatment if the webbing doesn't interfere with the function of one's foot.